When you think about someone famous or even infamous, the most likely people that come to mind are Hollywood celebrities. And if you had to explain who a certain celebrity was to someone unfamiliar, you'd most likely reference a show, movie, or even relationship they have been in. When it comes to content creators, however, explanations are a lot trickier, especially with how some people today are garnering attention. One person who's amassed a large amount of attention over the last decade on YouTube is hard to explain or even understand when you're looking at the surface. At first glance, most see a 30-something woman looking to save her life, desperately lose weight, and inspire others. But when you scratch below the surface of Amberlynn Reid and her community, things definitely become a lot more complicated. Amberlynn joined YouTube in 2013 to lose weight, hold herself accountable, and motivate others to do the same. But over the last 11 years, she's gained almost 250 pounds, created a community of well over 1 million people, despite what it might look like on her channel, and she also has been accused of incredibly deceitful and harmful things. The accusations against Amber stretch far and wide and include everything from the poor treatment of her pets, unthinkable behaviors to her girlfriends, telling more lies than the truth, and trying to manipulate and use everyone she comes across. Although she declares herself both an empath and highly knowledgeable about weight loss, Amberlynn's audience has criticized her for her lack of humanity and her absence of any progress. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. Both Amberlynn and her community that she's dubbed Hater Nation. We'll be exploring why exactly people can't stop watching Amber despite calling her the biggest liar on YouTube. We'll be untangling the complicated decade-long history of Amber, her heinous actions she's been accused of, and whether she really is as bad as she's purported to be. We'll also be discussing the worrying turn her life has taken lately and how, despite inspiring others to lose weight, she may have thrown the towel in for good and decided she'd rather gain weight than lose it. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a healthy snack, and let's dive in to the complicated, twisted, and questionable world of Amberlynn Reid and the Amberverse. As I mentioned in the intro, Amberlynn is one of the most talked about creators on YouTube, and it's hard to quantify just how many people are watching her because of the different ways people follow her. Her channel, and just look at her subscribers, it looks like nothing huge, and you may even look at her views and think her channel can't reach that many, it isn't very big. Her subscriber count isn't that much bigger than mine, but her actual following and reach is enormous and reaches far beyond what would normally be expected for a creator of that size. While a small amount of people do follow Amberlynn via her channel, the vast majority of people follow Amberlynn through reaction channels, compilation channels, and by participating in different discussions, forums, things like Facebook groups, Reddit, Discord, and many, many others. There are dozens and dozens, probably hundreds now, of reaction channels and compilation channels whose main content is about Amberlynn and other creators similar to her, like Foodie Beauty. The people that follow Amberlynn and Foodie Beauty and other creators like them refer to these people as the Gorls, Gorls. And in the same way that you talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe to include the movies, characters, and all of the lore, this group of Gorls, which is very hard to say with my accent, as a whole, and all of their side characters and lore, it is collectively known as Gorl World. On top of reaction and compilation channels in Gorl World, there are also a number of other channels that will do occasional content about Amberlynn and other creators. Some of these channels are huge. huge, like Michelle McDaniels, Cinnamon Toast Ken, Sunny V2, Primic, The Right Opinion, and many, many others. There's a lot also in the weight loss fitness sphere, like Obese to Beast and Shikara Transformations. So while Amberlynn has around 250,000 subs, there are far, far more people following her, well over 1 million. But as I said, it's hard to quantify. Amberlynn viewers and Girl World viewers in general fall into a couple of different categories. I did see another creator, Septa7, break this down into 4 different categories. And while I very much agree with her 4 categories, I do think there's actually a 5th category as well. So I think the categories break down like this. The first is the Amberlynn and Girl World fans. These are the people who are blind supporters and who cheer on Amberlynn and the girls no matter what they do. Amberlynn specifically refers to these fans as her Am babies, and I'd say there probably is only about a maximum of 10% of the audience that would fall into this category, and I think that's being pretty generous. I think that's pretty evident even from just looking at something as simple as the like to dislike ratio. The next group is what I call the fallen fans. These are people that initially went in and were supporters, but became very frustrated with Amberlynn and moved into more of the criticism category. Although when Amberlynn shows any signs of trying to get things together, put in effort, turn things around, these people will then support her again, and they'll leave positive comments and like her videos, and all efforts never seem to last very long with Amberlynn. So these people very quickly will move back into the criticism side whenever she stops whatever diet has been. And this can sometimes last a few days, a few weeks, but never more than a few weeks. Another category, I think, are the people that are there just for a laugh. These are the people that aren't really that invested and don't really care either way what happens. They just see it as entertainment. Then you have the people who aren't just critical. These people actively despise Amberlynn. A lot of these people get way too invested, take things way too far, and won't just criticize Amberlynn for valid reasons. They'll attack her for absolutely anything. These people actively want awful things to happen. They make fun of her and just are very hateful towards her. And I don't think there is a big portion of these people, although Amberlynn does seem to put everyone who isn't an Am baby into this category. And I think it's much more likely that this category is 5 to 10% of people at an absolute max. And finally, I think you have the people that exist just beyond fallen fans. These people didn't start out as fans, but they were watching because they were going through their own weight loss journey themselves, or they just became interested in Amberlynn and her community through suggested content. A lot of these people, like the fallen fans, became frustrated by Amberlynn, and they will criticize her for the awful things she does, which is valid, but they also will try and help her, at least in the beginning, before they get sick of offering help and it falling on deaf ears. I think a lot of these people, because they were in the middle or beginning their own weight loss journey, entered the Amberlynn sphere and saw Amberlynn's cycle, her behavior, and her refusal to change her life for the better, and her refusal to save her own life and just to continue existing in this world that she's created that enables the worst of her behavior. And I think the fact that these people were in the middle of their own weight loss journey, they came in and saw the criticism around Amberlynn, and it kind of snapped them into reality. And these people did not want to be like Amberlynn. They didn't want to continue to make the same mistakes she did, and they didn't want to end up like her. All of these people then became motivated, and that caused many of them to lose huge amounts of weight because they didn't want to become what Amberlynn had become. Many of these people focused on their own weight loss journeys, but still continued to watch Amberlynn and the community around her due to the fascination and wanting to see what happened to both Amberlynn and the community that they had unintentionally become a part of. And I definitely say that I firmly fall into this category, as I've been watching Amberlynn since about 2016, 2017, and I definitely will talk more about the communities, the different viewers, and the weight loss that has come out of this community. The only other thing for now that you need to know about the community is that I'd say most people do actually want the best for Amberlynn. And while there are some toxic people in the community, like any community, I do think they are the minority. But to Amberlynn, as I said, she sees anyone who isn't a blind supporter, anyone who isn't an Am baby, as a hater. And that's why, just how she named her supporters, she named her detractors too, and chose the unique name of dubbing them her haters and calling them collectively Hater Nation. Amberlynn has been on YouTube for over a decade, and her viewers usually break her timeline on YouTube into different eras, and each era is titled after each of her girlfriends. The main ones being the Krystle era, which is when she started her channel, followed by the Destiny era, which many people think of as the golden age. Then there is the longest era, the Becky era, followed by the WIFEY faline era. Don't worry, we'll get into that name and what is going on there when we talk about it. And finally, the current era, which started with a variety of different women Amberlynn was talking to. Unbeknownst to the audience at the time, one woman, Erica, did reveal herself recently and said she started her relationship with Amberlynn as a joke, but then her and her wife got very involved and they started sending Amberlynn expensive gifts. Erica allowed Amberlynn to have a tracking app on her phone, and there's a lot more to the story with Erica, her wife, and Amberlynn, as Erica and her wife started going on reaction channels to spill more information about Amberlynn and tell their side of the story, but we'll get into all of that later in the video. Currently, Amberlynn has a very new relationship with a woman called Emily who goes by Tommy. Many viewers have stated their concern for Amberlynn with the start of this new relationship due to Girl World investigators finding content Tommy had posted with her previous partner on feeder websites. I won't share the pictures or personal information of Tommy's previous partner, as she is not a public figure, and she also unfortunately passed away in April of this year of obesity-related issues because she had become immobile after reaching over 1,000 pounds. After Tommy's partner passed away in April, she 2 months later began dating Amberlynn, and as is usual for Amberlynn, things got serious immediately. Even for a lesbian, Amberlynn moves quick, let me tell you. Over her decade on YouTube, Amberlynn has gained over 250 pounds and her health has severely deteriorated. So people were very concerned about what would happen if Amberlynn is in a relationship with someone who not only enabled her overeating, but would encourage it. So that's where things are today. And as I'm making this video, Amberlynn has had her mother rent a car to drive her, her dog, and her 2 cats, and more stuff than anyone could possibly ever need, 19 hours from where she lives in Oklahoma to Wisconsin to visit Tommy. And yes, Amberlynn sounds a bit messy and jumps into relationship 2 days after her last one ended, but lots of people do that. When people click on Amberlynn's channel and watch a video or two, they probably would be very confused about why all these people are talking about her, because apart from very occasional pops of messy relationship drama like this, that happen maybe every 2 to 3 years. Her videos are extremely bland and, to be honest, boring. Her videos are vlogs shot in her apartment 9 out of 10 times and just are her talking about very mundane things like what she's wearing and eating that day. The occasional video of hers does venture out. It's mainly to go to a restaurant. But in the first 6-7 years of her channel, pretty much every time she would go out, it would be to go to a restaurant or to go to Walmart. And she would, the vast majority of the time, be driving around in one of those mobility scooters and buying a lot of stuff that she'd already purchased many times over. She has a lot of things that she buys in droves, like perfume and journals. And she has, for example, more journals than anyone could ever write in. If she wrote in a different journal every day for the rest of her life, she'd still never run out of journals. More recently, she stopped venturing out so much, as for the last few years, she moved from a small town in Kentucky to Lexington, Kentucky, and then more recently last year to Oklahoma. So now that she's in Oklahoma and previously in Lexington, she had access to delivery apps like Uber Eats. So now it is much more common that she uses the delivery apps, whereas when she lived in the small town, she had to actually go out or get her girlfriend to go and get it. So she uses these apps multiple times a day and sometimes will even use them to order a $15 Diet Coke from McDonald's. Her videos are also not edited and they pretty much are just spliced together clips with no rhyme, reason, no intro, no outro, most of which just are about really nothing. So with all that being said, you may think, how has she amassed 250,000 subscribers and this enormous community of well over 1 million people that are following her? And when you look into this huge community more and what all of these people and creators are saying about her, you also may think, wow, why are all these people speaking so negatively about her too? Why do all of these people have so much criticism for this morbidly obese woman who just seems to live a pretty mundane life and is just posting poorly edited videos? What exactly did she do? So let's talk about what she has done over the last decade on YouTube and how she has garnered one of the worst reputations on the platform. Amber posted her first YouTube video on November 17th, 2013, and this video definitely did not give any indication as to where Amberlynn and her channel would go. Amberlynn started her channel at 368 pounds, and she said she was motivated to start the channel because she wanted to lose weight, and she also wanted to use the channel to hold herself accountable. But spoiler alert, unfortunately for Amberlynn, neither of those things would come true. She did quickly implement a third thing that she wanted to achieve with her channel, and that was she wanted to inspire others to lose weight. She wanted to do this through her own weight loss, which, while that wasn't achieved, she did in fact motivate and inspire others to lose weight. But the way that she went about this is absolutely fascinating, and one of the things we'll be covering throughout this entire video. When Amberlynn did post her first video, she was almost 24 years old and living in Virginia with her girlfriend Krystle. Amber moved in with Krystle and her parents, and when she started YouTube, she wasn't working, and Krystle's parents not only didn't require her to contribute to the bills or charge her rent, but they gave her $1,500 a month just for nothing, basically, which that is even more money in 2013. And that is, again, when all her bills and housing and food and everything is paid for. Amberlynn came to live with Krystle and her parents after she'd started a relationship with Krystle online. They had started speaking while Amberlynn was in her previous relationship, and you'll notice this pattern continue throughout all of the relationships where Amberlynn will be finishing one relationship and immediately, and I mean immediately, starting another. mother. Amberlynn's partner prior to Krystle was a trans man named Casey, and Amberlynn also dated Casey online. And when she actually first met Casey in Arizona, she actually ended up being phoned by her mother and told that she couldn't come back to stay at her grandmother's house where Amberlynn and her mother both were living. So Casey and his mother had to take her in pretty much. I mean, they obviously could have told her no, but she wouldn't have had anywhere to go. She was about 19 at this stage. So again, neither her parents or Casey were obligated to take her, but obviously that was a very difficult position for Casey and his mother to be in, and they hadn't really even known her that long, as they'd only just met her when she'd came to visit Casey. According to Casey, Amberlynn made life extremely difficult when living in the one-bedroom apartment that Casey and his mother's partner shared with Amberlynn. Amberlynn did not want to work or go to school, but Casey's mother insisted and stipulated she must do one or the other. So if she was living with them, she had to go to school or get a job. So Amberlynn chose to go to school, and she went to one of these ITT tech schools. You know, they're usually very expensive. And she went for criminal justice. She only attended 1 year and didn't return to complete the 2-year degree she was doing, but she did end up with a lot of debt. And as many of these types of schools are, they have ironclad stipulations and fees, and so she was on the hook for all of this debt, even though she didn't finish the degree. We're going to put a pin in Casey and come back to him later, as Amberlynn's first huge controversy involved Casey and claims Amberlynn made against him, and this was really, I would say, a lot of the people who are in the Amberlynn sphere, this is top of the list of one of the worst things that Amberlynn has done. And it's also the moment that I think really changed the way not only people saw her, but the way that everything went on for the rest of her channel and even today, because what she did, there's really no coming back from this controversy and claims that she made. So we'll get into that a little bit more into the next chapter. So we'll come back to Casey, as these claims Amberlynn made against him didn't actually come out until her next relationship, which is going to be covered in the next chapter. So back to when Amberlynn is starting her channel, and prior to this, she had lost a little bit of weight thanks to the assistance of Krystle and her parents, who had really intervened in Amberlynn's diet and locked down a lot of the junk food. Amberlynn has had significant weight issues all of her life. She spent many years in foster care, as she was removed from her parents' care due to both her mom and dad suffering from drug addiction. And growing up, many of her foster parents tried to help her with her weight. And she also had a teacher who gave her the money and paid for her to go to Weight Watchers, paid out of her own pocket, the teacher did. But whether it was the foster parents or the teacher or anyone at the school who intervened, she rebuked all of these offers of help and all of these people's efforts. Prior to her channel, Amberlynn claimed she lost 89 pounds, and over her past 10 years plus on YouTube, she has referenced this 89-pound loss an incredible amount. So much so that it isn't only a joke in the Amberlynn cinematic universe girl world, it also is a joke in the Nikocado avocado universe. He takes quite a lot of inspiration from Amberlynn, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but he really references 89 pounds. Oh, I've lost 89 pounds a lot. And especially when he was doing like his weight loss a few years ago, well, it probably was when he actually was starting his weight loss because of everything that just happened with him. But he used to reference 89 pounds a lot, and people thought, oh, he had actually lost weight. But then anyone who watched Amberlynn knew, oh no, he's making fun of Amberlynn, because he did that a lot with like the mobility scooters and everything like that. In the early days of her channel, Amberlynn and Krystle didn't really get up to much. Seemingly every other week, sometimes every day, Amberlynn was starting and stopping a new diet, and her vlogs were mainly made up of Krystle and her going out to eat, going shopping, and really, as I said, not really doing much. The Krystle era is the least talked about by far, and there is so much more to get to. So many more controversies and just unbelievable things. So we will swiftly move on to our next era, which, as I said, many people look back as the golden age of Amberlynn, the Destiny era. Just how Amberlynn started her relationship with Krystle before her relationship with Casey was really over or had any breathing room, and just as she moved from Casey's house into Krystle's house, Amberlynn quickly started her next relationship after Krystle with a woman named Destiny. Amberlynn actually moved in with Destiny the day she met her, and they spoke for a few short months online prior to that, and then Destiny and her parents drove to Virginia from Florida to get Amberlynn and to move her and her mountain of stuff to the new apartment that she and Destiny would be living in together in Florida. So the first day they met, they had their first date, became girlfriends, and moved in together, which again, even for lesbians, is fast. This was still the very early days of Amberlynn's channel, so she had a couple of thousand subscribers at this stage, but you could already start to see her early audience back then criticizing and highlighting issues that are still discussed by viewers of her channel today. When Amberlynn moved in with Destiny, she'd never had a job, and she didn't get one when she moved to Florida for a while, for a few months. Amberlynn had received a lot of criticism from her audience when living with Krystle for, at the age of almost 24, not working and not doing anything around the house. And this criticism continued when she moved in with Destiny. Destiny worked at a assisted living facility as a care assistant, and she also did the majority, if not all, of the household chores like cooking, cleaning, and the like. Amberlynn's YouTube was bringing in a very, very, very small amount of money, like maybe not even $100 when they first moved in together. And Destiny's income wasn't anything huge. So Destiny was supporting both of them, and they had a lot of money struggles in the beginning. Although these money struggles did not stop them from constantly going out to eat and frequent Walmart shopping sprees. Amberlynn did end up getting a job at Destiny's work at the assisted living facility. She originally told her audience this was a full-time role, when in reality, she only worked a few hours a week, a few days a week, to help with their meal service. Over this time period, Amberlynn was constantly starting and stopping a wide variety of different diets. Many of these lasted 1 to 5 days, and you started to see this cycle forming of her starting and stopping different diets, and this still continues to this very day. Amberlynn will tell you she has tried everything to lose weight. Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Counting Calories, Optavia, Mukbangs, Noom, MyFitnessPal, fasting, vegetarianism, veganism, healthy eating, phentermine, fendermetrazine, OMAD, Ozempic. She's tried to get weight loss surgery. She's been contacted by My 600-Pound Life, Family by the Ton. And before the Slayton sisters had their show, 1,000-Pound Sisters, TLC reached out again to Amberlynn, and everything I have just mentioned, she has tried dozens and dozens of times over the last decade. She will say nothing works for her, but she's never actually given anything a proper chance, not even calorie reduction, because at the weight she is, if she even just ate a little bit under 3,500 calories, she would lose weight. Instead, Amberlynn has gained over 250 pounds since the beginning of her weight loss YouTube channel.
So today is day one back on Weight Watchers. I'm gonna give it a go. In this video, I want to show you guys everything that I eat on day one. So here we go. Please. I see the comments about my hair already. Just to let everyone know, I get 83 daily points to eat every day, and then I get 28 weekly points, which is just like extra points if I want to have like a cheat day.
Hi guys, Editing Ash here. I just was watching this clip back for the final run through, and I just want to be clear that I have not put two videos together here. I have not spliced random days together. This video, I've just cut out a lot of the dead air and Amberlynn talking about nothing. But this is one day that she showed her eating on the first day of a new Weight Watchers cycle. So I don't want you to think I've messed with it. I also just want to point out, in case you don't know anything about Weight Watchers or have never done it, 83 daily points is absolutely astronomical. For me, mine is 26. Not saying I am the be all end all. I'm just trying to give you another example. But of course, we all know the point of Weight Watchers is to consume either how many points they give you or less, and you will lose weight. So even though 83 is an astronomical amount of points, Amberlynn would still lose weight if she consumed that or less.
And I ordered McDonald's, where I could have had a better choice, but 15 points, large fry. I got a 20-piece nugget, which was 25 points. Definitely tasted amazing. And then I tried a fish fillet, or a filet of fish. I might have tried one years and years ago, but bomb. So good. 6 points. And then I had half of a large Sonic Blast, I think is what they're called, for 34 points. So I ate all my points, and I went into weekly, into the negatives. So I ate 119 points today. I regret it. I like literally hate myself, but accountability, am I right?
The weight loss cycles that she is continually going through on her channel is a continued frustration for viewers, as she will try a program for a day or two, maybe 4, and declare it doesn't work and immediately revert back to fast food, going out to eat multiple times a day, huge portions, and mukbangs. I will talk about this more a little bit later when I'm talking about the community and weight loss. But a lot of people think that they have these magical reasons that they can't lose weight. And I used to be exactly the same. During the Destiny era, one of the main criticisms was Amberlynn's treatment of her pets. And this is something that has continued on throughout her channel. Amberlynn and Destiny got a lot of pushback due to the way they roughly handled their pets. And they also got several different cats and dogs in very short periods of time, and some of these animals were given away quickly. Just recently, Destiny made a series of videos where she went over her past relationship with Amberlynn, and in these videos, she spoke about how they didn't take the best care of the animals. They didn't take them to the vet. And some of the pets, like their cat Wasabi, had issues where he should have been seen by a vet. Amberlynn and Destiny were together when they got a dog called Twinkie Star, who was a Chihuahua, and Amberlynn has gotten a lot of criticism for both Twinkie's weight and how she's cared for Twinkie. From 2018 to 2020, 2021, Twinkie was frequently seen on camera with extremely long nails, and many viewers begged Amberlynn to take Twinkie to the groomer, which she did not do, and would often claim she'd made appointments, but then they'd never materialize, and she would come up with random excuses as why they had to cancel them. Amberlynn and Destiny frequently left the pets alone for very, very long periods of time, over 12 hours sometimes, And they were also left alone during severe weather conditions like hurricanes and tornadoes. And this had a huge effect on the animals when they returned home. And anytime after this, when there was storms, even if they were home, the pets would be very visibly upset. One of the biggest pet backlashes that Amberlynn received was in 2019 when she was dating her next girlfriend after Destiny, Beck, who we'll discuss in the next chapter. But this did actually involve Destiny too, as Amberlynn was on a double date with her new girlfriend Beck and Destiny's new girlfriend Dana. Twinkie was experiencing a lot of pain out of nowhere. Amberlynn in a video described that Twinkie was shaking in pain. She said that she wanted to take Twinkie to a vet in hopes that the vet could say something to make Amberlynn feel better. And she told her audience that she'd been crying a lot, but that it was Saturday night, so their regular vet wasn't open. All of the viewers obviously suggested to go to a 24-hour or an emergency vet, but Amberlynn claimed there were none in her small town in Kentucky. She said there wasn't much she could do until the vet was open, so she decided to go to Walmart, and her girlfriend and Destiny and her girlfriend went out to Chili's to eat. One of the reaction channels was on live when all of this was happening, a channel called Michael B. Petty, and Michael looked up on Google if there was a 24-hour emergency vet in this town in Kentucky that Amberlynn lived in. And Michael not only found that there was a 24-hour emergency vet, but it was also on the same road that the Chili's was on. Reaction channels especially have discussed a lot of the other things that viewers are frustrated about when it comes to Amberlynn and her pets. One is the lack of exercise the dog gets and the overfeeding of the dog. It would be very easy for Amberlynn to combat these criticisms, and even reaction channels say all it would take is for her to show herself walking the dog every so often. And you think, well, that would be really boring content, but I mean, this is some of the stuff that's on her channel. Showing herself walking her dog wouldn't be anything that's out of the ordinary, and people are actually asking to see that. So I don't think that she would experience any backlash for putting that in. I think people would actually want to see it because she's only shown it a handful of times over the whole, I think it's about 9 years since she's had the dog. The only time that I really remember her showing it outside of maybe 2 other times was when she actually put the harness on the dog, but put it on the wrong way, which most people would think you can't be that familiar with putting the harness on the dog if you've put it on the wrong way. During the Destiny era, viewers also did not like how Amberlynn conducted herself at work at the assisted care facility. All of the residents at the facility were very old, and many had dementia and Alzheimer's. Amberlynn would film herself at work in the residents' rooms, even though she told viewers she wasn't supposed to film at work. She also would film her colleagues, who constantly asked not to be filmed and not to be put on YouTube. And she was also critiqued for her very poor work ethic. She would often film herself making residents wait for her assistants while she finished doing whatever she was doing for the clip. I now want to discuss the incident I was referring to earlier with Amber's partner prior to Krystle, Casey. As I said, Casey and Amber dated when Amber was 19, 2021, and Casey and his mother let Amber live with them, and she went to school for a short period of time but didn't contribute to the household or anything. Casey is and was not a public figure, and prior to this incident, no one knew who Casey was. It wasn't like any of Amber's other partners where Casey had been featured on the channel. She had referenced him just in the way that you would say, oh, my ex or someone I dated before, but there wasn't pictures or videos, and people people didn't know really anything about him. While dating Destiny, Amberlynn posted a video on her channel which detailed her relationship with Casey and made some extremely serious claims and told her viewers that Casey had not only physically abused her, but had sexually assaulted her. People very quickly figured out who Casey was, and also people in Casey's life were made aware of the video and reached out to him. After he saw the video, he created a channel in order to post a video not only strongly denying Amberlynn's claims, but detailing her relationship with him and everything that Amberlynn put him through, all of the poor treatment, and how she treated his mother. Casey also showed a number of messages he'd received from Amberlynn over the years since their breakup, all the way up to fairly recently when she started dating Destiny. Most people know that there is no textbook way that people deal with assault, and the fact that Amberlynn reached out to Casey is not proof in itself that the assault didn't happen. Of course, no one knows 1,000% what happens between Amber and Casey except for Amber and Casey. But Casey's video, Amber's behavior, and her actions after Casey's video had the vast majority of the community on Casey's side. I have linked Casey's full video below, and I have also linked an interview that was done with a creator who has a channel that has a lot of Amberlynn content, and that's Mr. Snowflake. He has an extensive series about Amberlynn called Shaped by the Algorithm, and if you are a casual viewer of Amberlynn or you don't know really anything about her, this series goes into a massive amount of depth, and also it's chronologically ordered, so you really can learn everything from this series. He does have another series called Victims of an Empath. It is still in process right now. Casey was the first episode. There's a Krystle episode, a Destiny episode, and he's working on a Beck episode right now. And those videos are another source of information for people's major issues with Amberlynn, as her treatment of her partners is a big factor and a big criticism that people have. After Casey's video, Amberlynn deleted hers, and she sent Casey a lot of messages asking him to take down his video. But Casey's video remains up to this very day. Amberlynn has only discussed the topic of these accusations a handful of times since the original video. Once was on a You Now stream where she replied to someone who told her that she lied about the R word, and she said that she had used the wrong word and she should have used coerced. Another time, which is frequently referenced in Girl World, is the poem that she wrote about the situation called Rain and Petals Eavesdrop. As Amber's channel was growing, but still a fairly small channel, she and Destiny decided to move from Florida to Kentucky. They quit their jobs and moved in with Destiny's mother, and according to Destiny, their relationship wasn't in a great place at this time, and this move only made things worse due to the fact that Amber was very controlling, and because Amber and Destiny's mother did not get along. Destiny's mom did try and help Amberlynn lose weight also, but Amberlynn was not interested, as around this time in 2016 was when she realized she could get a lot of views if she posted her full body in the thumbnail, and many more if she posted a mukbang. In case you don't know what a mukbang is, it means eating show and was originally made for people to record themselves eating a normal meal, and the idea was that others could watch it while they were eating alone, and the creator would be eating and talking, and it was like the viewer was eating a meal with someone else. When this caught on in the West, it was changed slightly, and they ended up not eating normal meals, but they would eat copious amounts of food. One of the most famous mukbangers is Nikocado Avocado, who, as I said, we will talk about later because Nick takes a lot of his inspiration from Amberlynn, as I referenced earlier. So when Amberlynn realized that she could get a lot of views and therefore a lot of money by doing these mukbangs, eating copious amounts of food, Destiny's mum thought that it was a bad idea for Amberlynn to do YouTube full time, especially the way she did YouTube, which was staying at home, eating a lot of food. She was going to gain weight. And also Destiny's mum thought that with YouTube, like the money is inconsistent, which is true, especially when you are a smaller channel. I mean, I don't do sponsorships, as most people who watch my channel know. So I still have like a full-time job because yes, it can be good when your videos do good, but if your video doesn't perform, it's like you've done a month of work and you don't get paid. Destiny's mom began to get more frustrated with Amberlynn because she was very lazy and didn't do anything around the house, but she also didn't take care of herself very well, with Destiny revealing last year in the series of videos she did that the whole time Amberlynn lived with her mother, that Amberlynn didn't keep up with her personal hygiene and wouldn't use the shower in Destiny's mother's house because it was a shower bath that you had to step up into. And Destiny said she wouldn't even try it. So she didn't shower for the whole time that she was at Destiny's mother's. And there are a lot of claims by other ex-girlfriends that are similar to this. And Amberlynn herself has spoken about the fact that during the year of 2019, she was unable to shower herself because she was dealing with immobility due to her weight, which we'll talk about that more in the next chapter. From Destiny's video, it seems as though Destiny's mother also was concerned about Amberlynn's lack of empathy and care for others and her tendency to only focus on herself, which is also something Amberlynn's audience frequently points out over the whole time that she's been on YouTube. Most of her ex-girlfriends have come out after their relationships and all said that their family members actually said the same things about Amberlynn, with even one girlfriend having her family stage an intervention to try and get her to break up with Amberlynn. There was one situation that a lot of reaction channels referenced where Amber was going with Destiny to visit the grave of a child that Destiny was very close with in her family, and the whole journey there, Amber was singing and dancing in the car. There was another situation with another partner that we'll speak about again in the next chapter, where the partner was picking out a headstone for their mother and Amberlynn was waiting in the car, where she was making TikToks about things that were very inappropriate for such an occasion. Destiny's mother did not like Amberlynn's behavior and how she treated Destiny, and this even actually once turned physical. Destiny and Amberlynn started new jobs in September 2016, working for the VA, and Amber did not want to work. She only wanted to do YouTube. And I try not to add too much personal opinion in my videos. I mean, anyone making a video who's a human, there's going to be opinion in it, but I am going to add something here because over the years, Amberlynn has talked about wanting to do YouTube because she's passionate about it, but I just don't understand how someone who claims they're passionate about something can produce the videos that she produces, and I'm being generous by saying the word produce there, because her videos are just spliced together clips. I think that she just has found a way to do very little and to be rewarded a lot, because this is a spoiler for the next chapter, but in 2019, she started making over $10,000 a month. And I know some people who don't do YouTube have said that they don't think this is true, but looking at her numbers, 2019, 2020 especially, I can tell you that I 100% believe that that is how much she was making at that time period. It obviously has dipped a lot now because she doesn't get the same amount of views, but she still is getting 700, 800,000 views. In July, she got over 1 million. And I still think that she's making very good money for especially the content that is being produced. So Destiny's mother told Amberlynn that she didn't think it would be a good idea for her to do YouTube because mainly like obviously the money thing, but also she would be sitting at home all day eating on camera. That's obviously not going to be healthy and it's going to have her gaining weight. So when Destiny's mother overheard Amber and Destiny one day talking about their new jobs, and Amber said that if she didn't want to continue with the job after orientation, she just wouldn't properly start the job. Destiny's mom got really angry and started an argument with Amber that got very heated, and Destiny's mom ended up taking a K-cup holder and whacking Amber over the head with it. Destiny said that she had a panic attack and things remained very heated between Amber and her mother after this. So Amber and Destiny moved out of her mother's house shortly after this incident. So Amber and Destiny moved to Kentucky in the summer of 2016. They started their jobs in September. They moved into their apartment in October, and also towards the end of October, Amberlynn did quit her job. She told her audience that Destiny really wanted her to quit the job, but Destiny later said that she didn't tell her that, and she just told her she's an adult, she can do what she wants. They were having even more issues in their relationship by this stage due to Amberlynn being very controlling and not wanting Destiny to spend time with her family and friends. Destiny then did start speaking to other people like her ex. In the videos that I referenced last summer that Destiny released talking about her past relationship with Amber, Destiny alleged that there was an incident where Amber prevented her from going to her mum's house and chased her out of her car and also threatened harm on herself. This is commonly referred to in girl world as the Code Red incident, as Destiny was drinking a Code Red Mountain Dew at the time. Amber does refute this incident happening though. Amber was making more money on YouTube by late November, and due to all of the fighting in their relationship, she purchased an enormous amount of Christmas gifts for Destiny, and Amber had her open all of these gifts before December even started. The gifts were not enough to save the relationship, however, and on January 13th, 2017, Destiny broke up with Amberlynn. Destiny swiftly moved on and began dating Dana, a woman she and previously Amberlynn worked with, and Amber did not take this well. A month after the breakup, on Valentine's Day, Destiny and Dana were out celebrating Valentine's Day, and Amber decided to drink an entire bottle of wine and go on live stream, which is another much referenced moment in girl world. Destiny did continue to take Amberlynn places like the grocery store and anywhere she needed to go after their breakup. Amber was single for about 2.5, 3 months, which is the longest gap you'll see between her relationships. But in May 2017, she got a new girlfriend, and 3 months later, she moved in with her new partner and their 2 roommates, a married couple, Eric and Ricky. So the Destiny era comes to a close, and this is where things really heat up, as now we move into the dawn of a new era, the most shocking, awful, unbelievable, and most talked about era, the Becky era. The Beck era has a lot of unbelievable moments, and during this period, Amber went through a lot of growth on her channel. Her viewers and critics' frustrations also escalated during this period, as things like Amberlynn's treatment of her pets, the deterioration of her physical health and mental health, her lies and treatment of her girlfriends only intensified. 2019 in particular was when Amberlynn was at her biggest, gaining about 2 million views a month, and this was also when she was the most talked about on the platform, with the vast majority of reaction channels springing up during this time period. I want to briefly touch on some of the reaction channels here, certainly the ones that were starting around this time period, as not only do they play into the whole girl world a lot, but they also have a lot to do with Amber, because she very much cannot not react to them, and she not only watches them, but she gets involved with what they say. She will have back and forth with them, and again, all the channels really started to spring up during this time period, or the OG ones at least, and a lot of these channels are still active to this day. The biggest channel, even still today, is Zachary Michael, and another channel along with him were probably the most significant, especially during the Beck era. And the other channel is Michael B. Petty. He doesn't make videos anymore, but he does still post about Amber and Girl World on Twitter. Alex is Shook is another channel that started during this time period, and he still has a successful channel today. He is probably who I actually watched the most, I would say. I started watching him when he had about 2,000 subscribers. I do also watch Zach, and I did watch Michael when he made videos. The very first reaction-ish channel, I believe, was CXNT, and she doesn't show her face or anything. She more started compiling information about Amber and pointing out her discrepancies, but she, along with a lot of the other creators, have talked about Amber since very, very early days of Amber's channel. There also are a lot of reaction channels that during this time period, they had a lot of favor, but they flew a little bit too close to the sun and turned into a bit of a joke themselves, like Young Dumb Honey Bun. She has since stopped making content, but back during this period, she was quite popular. There were a few other creators too, a lot of which don't post anymore. And during this time period, there were 2 AmberCons, which were when a lot of the reaction channels came together on a live stream for a couple of hours and discussed Amber and mainly Foodie Beauty as well. During the Beck era and also today, there has been a huge influx of not only reaction channels, but compilation channels, which a lot of the time are channels with compiled clips, but there's also channels like Orange Queen and Apathetic Facts, where it's kind of a blending of reaction and compilation channels. They're faceless and kind of voiceless because the creators use text to speak, and they will do synopsises and quick recaps of what's going on with Amber while also inserting their own thoughts and opinions. Most people believe that the reaction channels keep Amber relevant. Most people, or certainly most people that follow her, don't really watch on her channel, and they consume by watching people like Orange Queen and Alex is Shook because the videos are just so, I know this sounds mean, but just boring and monotonous if they're just consumed the way that she posts them. Orange Queen and Alex is Shook, like, they will also insert commentary, but they will give you more the bullet points, and they will only post if there is something to say rather than just posting a lot of spliced together clips. Amber and Beck met because of Amber's channel, as Beck saw one of Amber's videos and, in Beck's words, reached out to her because she was concerned for her after reading the comments. As I said, Amber moves quick, and she pretty much moved in immediately with Beck and their roommates, Eric and Ricky, who are a married couple and had been friends with Beck since high school. Beck quit her job a little while after Amber moved in, and one thing that the household as a whole got a lot of criticism for was that there were 4 grown, capable adults in their late 20s living in a household where only one of them worked, and the person who worked, Ricky, seemed to take on the majority of the household chores. Beck began appearing in Amber's videos straight away, and while I think Beck is the most liked of Amber's exes, I think it very much is split down the middle on what people think. There's a lot of people that have sympathy towards Beck, and then on the other half, it's people who think that they co-signed a lot of Amber's behavior, and they also had a lot of controversies involving money. There is a GoFundMe scam situation we'll talk about in a second. There also have been a lot of accusations about Beck and her own channel, because when Amber and Beck broke up, Beck made a channel and didn't really post any content, but every so often would come back and would be having issues financially, and a lot of viewers would support her, and she would say, oh, I'm going to do this content, and then disappear for a while. So there are some people that were happy to support, but then other people who didn't like the way it was done. So as I said, I think there are a lot of people that do really like Beck, but I do also think that there are, on the other side, people who really don't. So it's just a 50-50 thing, whereas most of Amber's exes, I think it's more likely that people have a lot more criticism for them also. Whereas the only one that I wouldn't say that about really is Krystle, because Krystle didn't really appear that much on camera and people don't really have anything bad to say about her. Eric did also start a YouTube channel that some of Amber's viewers would watch in hopes of catching Amber in the wild, but Eric's content was honestly even worse than Amber's, and he did, I think, delete his channel about 2 years ago now. By the time Amber moved in with Beck, Eric, and Ricky, she had gained a significant amount of weight throughout her relationship with Destiny, as did Destiny, and Amber had gained about 100 pounds during this relationship. Not too long after moving into the house, she gained even more, and in April 2018, she crossed the 500-pound mark. From April 2018 to April 2019, she did gain more weight, and her videos and life pretty much consisted of mukbangs, the occasional trips to Walmart where she used to ride those mobility scooters, going out to eat, and talking about the latest diet that she was going to do. The diet would never last more than a few days, and over the course of her relationship with Beck, she gained more than 70 pounds, which had her weighing in January 2020 at 572.4 pounds. By this stage, Amber was bedbound. She couldn't shower. She had to take bed baths during this period, and she frequently lied about having just got out of the shower or she was going to take a shower, because she led her viewers to believe she wasn't bedbound or having any issues. She's only admitted this years after the fact. There are so many little lies like this over her decade on YouTube, and bigger lies too. She has frequently came on camera and spoken about lies that she's told. She even has videos titled things like "Confessing Everything I Lied About." Also during this time period, she would come on camera and frequently discuss her mental health and how she was having a lot of difficulty.
I'm not a liar, I'm not a deceiver, and I don't manipulate people. In my opinion, I am misunderstood, I'm moody, I'm a mess, I'm restless, I'm depressed. I'm the girl who hasn't left her bedroom in 5 days. I haven't brushed my hair in about a week. I feel defeated, lonely. I don't cry for views. I don't eat for views. I'm not a narcissist. I don't use or mooch the people around me. I get told constantly, Amberlynn, you're a liar. All you ever do is lie, lie, lie. What happens when my reality is different than yours? I'm struggling. I'm caught in a situation where I don't know if it's my antidepressant making me worse, or if my depression is so bad that Lexapro just doesn't work for me. If I could be anywhere right now, I'd probably lay in a field of sunflowers and just look up at the sky and ask why. Why me? I constantly wonder, why was I chosen to become 529 pounds, to have depression, and to have a whole huge online community hate me for something that isn't true. I understand when there's two stories, you want to choose one, and it sucks because one person is telling the truth and yet she's perceived as the liar. I am extremely empathetic. If I see someone crying, if they're a stranger, I follow suit and I feel their pain. To have that empathetic personality, it's bittersweet. Not only do I take on the role of feeling everyone else's emotions, but I also have to deal with mine. Have you ever felt like a monster? People stare at me like I'm like a creature from the ocean, and then I put myself out there on YouTube expecting some positive feedback or something. Don't believe everything that you read online. If you didn't hear it from me, then it's probably not true.
She would stop and start her antidepressants frequently, ignoring her doctor's advice and their prescribing guidance. Her physical health was horrendous by this stage. She couldn't walk for more than a few seconds without being severely winded. Her weight was affecting every single aspect of her life, and during this period, she was in constant pain from her legs and her weight, her back. I honestly can't imagine even today how much pain she experiences from day to day. I will talk at the end of the video about like my own experience as being someone who was very heavy. I wasn't as heavy as Amber, but knowing how much pain I was in and I wasn't that weight, I can't imagine what she experienced or even still experiences. And due to her weight, she also had a lot of other health concerns. One being that she was in constant agony due to one of her premolars that had a lot of decay. But at first, she didn't want to go to the dentist because of her size and sitting in the chair, because obviously there's weight limits on those things. It got so bad and so painful that she did go to a dentist, and she had left the tooth decaying for so long that only about half the tooth remained due to all of the decay. As I've spoken about a few times on the channel, I, in my real world job, have a medical company and we have a dental practice in the group. I have a lot of good friends that are dentists, and when I've showed them the picture of the tooth that Amber posted, they were very horrified and said that that amount of decay had to be from years and years, which I'm sure most people can surmise by looking at the picture. Obviously, the tooth was pulled out, but as I've mentioned, Amber tells a lot of lies, and when she had this tooth extracted, this was another one where she told her audience, oh, my mouth rejected the tooth and that's why it had to be pulled, not because of all of the decay and her being in agony.
Before I show you, I just want to let you guys know that my teeth are actually really healthy, which I'm grateful for. And this wisdom tooth, like my mouth just was not accepting it. So a really big hole formed, and that is what I was dealing with. There were nerves in it and it was exposed and it hurt so bad. So this is gross.
After Amber started dating Beck, her content got worse and worse, and her videos just became a lot of her recording from her bed.
I get told that this is like Pillow Mountain. This is the first time it's ever actually been a pillow mountain.
By 2019, her videos were almost exclusively that, and she barely left the house.
I look an absolute hot mess. I'm actually just like excited for today because I love the house.
There are some videos in 2019 of her going outside and she is surprised by, it seems like, sunlight. And she also was having these erratic sleep schedules where she would sleep all through the day and then wake up at 7 o'clock at night and be up all night. As I said, in 2019, her videos just became from her bed, and they were pretty much the same as before, just spliced together clips. The way her videos are done, say it's 10 minutes, you can really just add maybe a minute or two to the runtime, and that's how long the video has taken her, because she's just splicing together the ends and then maybe cutting out a little bit of dead air here and there. There is no other editing, and a lot of it, even still that she posts, is dead air. But soon this even became too much, and she would begin posting videos that were things like her just typing and sifting through a bin of markers, and she would just put ASMR and throw the video up and call it a day. In regards to her weight, I do think it's also important to mention that she is 5'2", maybe on a good day 5'3". So Amberlynn's height to weight ratio on someone of average height would put that person at over 700 pounds. I also will highlight here, I also am 5'2". I know you don't really see me stand up, but if you look on my Instagram, it's very obvious that I'm super short. And I will briefly talk about my own weight loss at the very end of the video, as that is actually how I found Amber. And as I mentioned at the beginning too, I very much fall into that category of viewers who ended up losing weight out of not wanting to be like Amberlynn. After reaching 572.4 pounds, Amber stopped weighing herself on camera, and many people in her audience believe that she did cross the 600-pound mark. She adamantly denies that she did. And I think that reason that 600-pound number is such a line in the sand for her is because of the show, My 600-Pound Life. But in all honesty, there really isn't much of a difference between 601 and 572.4. But more importantly, a 5'7" woman on My 600-Pound Life that is 600 pounds weighs less than Amberlynn. Never mind men on the show who are, say, 605 pounds and 6'4". I watch a YouTuber called Sean of Steel, and I've watched him since he was about 1,000 subscribers, and he used to be 605 pounds and he's 6'4". He had weight loss surgery and he's lost a ton of weight. I think it's over 300 pounds now. He does a lot of My 600-Pound Life content and talks about his struggles when he was overweight, and he talks about his own journey and what he's going through now because he still is losing weight. And I think that someone like Amberlynn sees that number of 600 pounds as the same number for everyone. Say if you are comparing Sean, who's 6'4" and 605 pounds, and comparing Amberlynn at 5'2" and even in, say, 550 that she is now, when you're looking at BMI, which I know BMI is pretty much bullshit, but just for the purposes of the video, and it's a weight that's used for hitting the criteria for Ozempic and for weight loss surgery. And Dr. Now does use it a little bit when he's talking on the show, My 600-Pound Life, but Sean's was in the 80% for BMI, whereas Amber is going to be well over 100%. Amberlynn, even today, has this image of herself as a special person. It's that terminal uniqueness, and it's why Amber and other people who can't lose weight, they see themselves differently than the other people on My 600-Pound Life. I will talk about this more at the end of the video when I talk more specifically about not only Amberlynn's weight loss journey and also the reason that I think that she is an inspiration on YouTube. We will get into that. Don't lose it in the comments yet. But I think that the number one issue that Amberlynn, and honestly a lot of people that can't lose weight have, because this was my issue before I lost like all my weight, because I never had like a weight issue really when I was a kid, not at all. When I was a teen, not it. In my 20s, maybe I had like a couple of pounds extra weight, but it was really my late 20s that I put on all of my weight. And we all have our reasons. Like, no one wakes up and is like, I want to be morbidly obese. Everybody has their problems and issues. And my thing was, I was constantly saying, the way Amber does, like, oh, I'm this special person, like terminal uniqueness, that you think the rules do not apply to you. And there's so many people that will ask me for advice about weight loss and things. And it's so hard too, because obviously you can't, like be rude to people. And people tell me, oh, well, I can't lose weight because of this or that and this. And, I have PCOS. I have like a really bad shoulder injury I've had to take steroids for before. I have a list, the mile long, that everybody has about why. But in reality, you lose weight by consuming less calories, and you gain weight because you consume too many calories. I was morbidly obese because I ate too many calories. End of story. That's it. And people like Amberlynn, they have this list a mile long, and now she's even saying in her videos, oh, well, my weight's really 150 pounds less than it is because of my lymphedema and lymphedema. Like, she woke up one day and it was magically there. And this terminal, unique, special person that you were constantly rationalizing why you are overweight or this or that. I do really think you have to have that aha moment. And I know that there'll be people who completely disagree with everything I'm saying. And even people think they know portion sizes, they know what's in food, they know how many calories is in something. 95% of people do not. And that is a lot of the time why people say, oh, I can't lose weight. And, you know, I'm not eating over my calories when really they are. So I'll get more into that in the last section when I explain why I think Amberlynn is one of the most inspirational YouTubers on the platform. Don't go off in the comments yet. I will explain, I promise. So that and Amberlynn's weight loss journey in general we'll talk about towards the end of the video. So saying all of that, there were a lot of other minor controversies during the Beck era. In the first half of the relationship where Amber and Beck were still living with Eric and Ricky, one of the biggest was the GoFundMe scam. And this happened after Beck's mom had been diagnosed with cancer. Amber and Becky were accused of trying to scam Amber's viewers, as in a nutshell, Becky, her sister, and Amber were all asking Amber's viewers for money for Becky's mother's treatment, when in fact all of her mother's treatment was covered by the mother's partner's TRICARE. Then they said it was for the gas money to drive to the treatment, and a lot of the reaction channels in general brought up the fact that not only did they lie about what was going on, but they also were asking for money from hardworking people when none of these people that I've mentioned were working at all. And well, obviously outside of Amber splicing her clips together. And they also were, Amber and Beck were frequently driving 2 hours from their small town to Lexington for them just to go to the Cheesecake Factory, as during this time period, Amberlynn was very, very, very into the orange chicken at Cheesecake Factory. And they don't really have a lot of other things going on. So they can spend a whole day going to Cheesecake Factory. There also was a whole controversy with Becky's mom and Amber, and Beck's mom's best friend leaked all these voice notes of Amber being pretty terrible to Beck's mom, who was going through cancer treatment and had just had a pretty intense surgery. And these voice notes of Amber being really rude to Becky's mom did not make her look good at all. There were also several visits from animal control during this period, and as I also mentioned earlier, this is when Amber left her dog shaking in pain to go to Chili's, and the dog was also seen with extremely long nails, and her viewers would constantly ask her to go and get the dog's nails trimmed, and she would constantly lie and said she had an appointment, and then they had to cancel it because Becky's friend needed help, and oh, this happened and that happened, and it just angered a lot of people. So the usual controversies like the pets, her weight loss, her treatment of her girlfriends, her behavior in general, her lying, that all continued. And as we just discussed, one of the biggest controversies was the GoFundMe scam. But the actual biggest controversy of all during the Beck era is something that people in the Amberverse refer to as Shrimpgate. Shrimpgate was when a creator known as Obese to Beast, John, was reaching out to Amber to offer his help with her weight loss journey, as John has lost a significant amount of weight himself, and he went viral for his loose skin video several years ago now. He even appeared on Ellen, and he reached out to Amber and was offering help. Amber basically had this conversation with him, and Obese2Beast had basically spoken about how he didn't think mukbangs were good for people going through weight loss journeys. Mukbangs, as I'm sure most people know, was originally supposed to be where someone is eating a normal size meal on video, and the concept was people could put it on when they were eating a meal and it was like they were eating with someone. But when the West got hold of it, it really got bastardized, and then it turned into people consuming these huge amounts of food like Nikocado Avocado, who he frequently actually takes inspiration and references Amber, which you probably wouldn't be aware of unless you consume Amber's content. But I'll talk about that later in the video. So Obese2Beast did a video and spoke about how he didn't think mukbangs were good and referenced Amber, and she took this personally. So she decided to do a mukbang eating an entire party platter of shrimp and spoke about how she knew better than her audience, and she told the story about Obese2Beast, and in general, she was just really condescending, rude, and smug to her viewers who were really concerned, the vast majority of them. Obviously, there's always going to be that small percentage of people who just really despise her. But most people were concerned for her mental and physical health. And because of the way she came across, it just seemed like she was being so rude and disingenuous. So a lot of people ended up mass unsubscribing from her, and this is one of the only times that she has done an apology and said that she didn't think that there would be this reaction. But this is a big reference point in the Amberverse. People do constantly talk about Shrimpgate, and she has even addressed it again a few years ago, or about 2 years ago herself. But it is one of those periods that a lot of people point to as the real Amberlynn coming out, and especially Shrimpgate and during her live stream era where she can't really edit herself. So by 2020, Amber was experiencing a lot of health issues and was close to 600 pounds. She was constantly doctor shopping and going to the ER in the middle of the night for UTIs and other issues like with her belly button. Then in June 2020, she had a medical emergency in the middle of the night where she was profusely bleeding. She later revealed that she had not had a normal menstrual cycle in several years and had basically been bleeding nonstop for 2 years. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about this because obviously this was a horrendous time, scary, and Amberlynn actually was diagnosed with cancer. She had to go through a full hysterectomy, and this all happened around the same time that she and Beck moved out of the house that they were living in with Eric and Ricky and moved to an apartment in Lexington, Kentucky. During this time period where she was going through the hysterectomy and recovering, there wasn't really much going on. Obviously, she wasn't posting a lot because she was going through all of this, and also a lot of the reaction channels stopped making content during this time period. After a couple of months went by, there wasn't too much going on. There was the usual spats that she got in with her viewers, the reaction channels that she would fight with, and she went back to doing mukbangs and her usual criticisms. By 2021, things had started to get very dull on the channel. She had decided, instead of making the spliced together clips, that she would do live streams instead, because you don't even have to edit live streams. And usually the live streams had her more in hot water with her viewers than the usual videos, because, as I said, you can't filter live streams. It's raw, it's the person, and she was unable to mask certain aspects of her personality. And of course, live viewers can also comment and the person sees them straight away. So there was a lot of back and forth with people in the comments. This was all going on in the first half of 2021, and people were getting really sick of the live stream era. But in June 2021, viewers became suspicious that Amberlynn and Becky's relationship was not in a good place. And a lot of people saw some clues that they thought that they had broken up. Amber denied this, pointing to the fact that just a few months ago, they had got engaged and Beck had proposed to her. They were going to spend the rest of their lives together and were very happy. A few weeks after she made this statement, Becky and Amber came on live and told the audience that they had in fact broken up. Becky broke up with Amber, and Beck later revealed that she had been unhappy for a very long time. She tried to break up with Amber multiple times, and Amber had pressured her into not breaking up. Beck's family had even staged an intervention at one stage to ask Becky to break up with Amberlynn, as they said that they felt like Beck wasn't the same person anymore. Beck, along with all Amber's other exes, have spoken about her being very controlling. And Beck said that even when she would try and go and hang out with like Eric and Ricky, Amber would put a timer on and tell her she had to be back by a certain time. For the next 10 days after the breakup, Amber and Beck came on live stream and they both spoke about wanting to work on themselves and not get into new relationships until they work through a lot of their physical and mental health issues. However, within about 2 weeks, Amber had found a new partner who she quickly dubbed WIFEY. This new girlfriend lived out of state, so even before Becky could move out, WIFEY was on her way to Kentucky. And so we once again move on to a new era, and this time there was a twist because WIFEY, Amber's new girlfriend, did not and would never appear on camera. So we enter probably the most hated era, the WIFEY faline era. The WIFEY faline era is sometimes called the hand era, which I know that sounds silly, but this is because usually the only part of WIFEY's body that viewers saw were her hands, and very, very occasionally we would also hear her voice. I'm really not going to go into a lot of detail with this era because WIFEY never put herself in Amber's videos. She isn't public and she doesn't even have social media. Her identity did leak into the community, but really nothing significant happened during this period. Amber constantly tried to pretend that it was a different girlfriend. So she'd say, oh, WIFEY doesn't exist anymore. I have a new girlfriend. But they were really all the same person. Amber did try and get weight loss surgery during this time period, along with all the other usual different cycles of trying Jenny Craig and Ozempic and counting calories and OMAD and all of the other stuff. But she really wanted to do it this time. She said she got a surgeon and her girlfriend was even going to split the cost with her. But as I'm sure you have surmised already, Amber was not prepared to do the work and she ended up not going through with the surgery. As I said, she did try a series of other things during this time period, but even when she was doing Ozempic, she would force herself to eat, which is just like the exact opposite of what you should be doing, as Ozempic helps you with not only the physical hunger, but with like the mental hunger. So I mentioned there the cycle of weight loss, and that is the point that I will tell you about Amberlynn's cycle. I wanted to mention it here so you could see through the earlier part of the video how some of the cycle is, how all of the cycle is pretty much true. There's even a graphic for the cycle, and if my memory serves, I'm pretty sure that this was created by someone called Archie. It is really hard to check stuff like this because Amber is a YouTuber rather than like a celebrity, and also a lot of the things that people contribute, they are going on Reddit, and Reddit about Amberlynn gets banned constantly. So the cycle, as I'll put on the screen, is basically just what this Archie mapped out of her going through. And a lot of people have referenced the cycle for a long time. He just made the graphic. There are a few bits of it now that don't happen anymore, but it is pretty accurate still. And in 2019, this thing was super accurate. Like you could follow it to a T. And it just very much is this constant where she starts and she's going to do a new weight loss thing and she's super excited about it and she'll go and buy a bunch of stuff, and it just constantly moves from this, oh, she's starting to abandon it, and then, oh, there's no mention of it, and then she's completely off the rails and doing mukbangs. And her content also follows this cycle where the content is never edited a lot and put together, and there's no sort of story. They're just spliced together clips, but it at least will be like, oh, she's going out of the house, and then it moves to, oh, it's just her in her bed, and then it will be videos like her just typing on a computer, and then she'll disappear and you won't see any videos from her for a while. So it does follow a lot of this. It also follows how she's appearing on camera and things like her hygiene and stuff, and you will just see, yeah, she's got makeup and stuff on, and then it will move to she's coming on camera saying that she's wearing the clothes from yesterday that she slept in, and she slept in her makeup. And it's just very, very predictable and just stuck in that cycle and pattern. It's like what I was saying before, where you really have to have this aha moment to want to try and break out of doing this monotonous thing. Again, not to keep like referencing like my own weight loss thing, but when I started losing weight, one of the things that made me really look at Amber and be like, this is what I'm doing and I don't want to be like her, was I would start something, be okay for a few days, and then I would make like a, maybe not even a big error, like a small error, like maybe I ate like 5 extra chips or something, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I've screwed the whole thing up, and I'd just like go off the rails, and maybe it was like a Thursday, and I'd be like, oh, well, I've screwed up now. Like, I might as well just go off the rails for the rest of the week and I'll start again on Monday. And so you're just constantly in that cycle of doing that, when in reality, you just need to be like, oh, okay, I ate 5 extra chips. Okay, I'm gonna eat 50 less calories or than I would tonight, or I ate 5 extra chips, no big deal. I'll get straight back on it. And that was like one of the biggest things for me, was not doing that, throwing the towel in and going off the rails. Because if you're just doing that, you're just erasing any good that you've done. So my thing is, don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till the first of the month. Just fucking do it now. And I try and put that into all aspects of my life now, and not just put it off, just get it done. And sometimes, you know, like stupid little things that you have to do, errands, work and stuff, instead of procrastinating and then having anxiety about it and constantly dreading it. And I mean, it doesn't always work, but I do try and implement that. One thing you'll hear a lot of people in the Amberverse say is that Amber needs side characters. And I think that is one of the reasons that the Destiny era is seen as like the golden age, because not only was Destiny involved in all of the videos, there were a lot of side characters, because Amber had some friends and she went to a job. She didn't go a ton of places, but she went some places, and Destiny's family was involved too. The WIFEY era proved that this Amber needs side characters is completely true, because her videos, as I said before, I mean, I feel bad saying they're boring, but I mean, they really are. And I don't feel bad saying that, because she doesn't care about her content. She talks a lot of the time about, oh, YouTube, I love doing YouTube. There's no one who, if they cared about their content, their videos, their channel, their audience, no one would put those videos out that she puts out. So just to me, it is so clear that she doesn't care about anything about YouTube videos, audience. The only reason that she does this still is because of the money, and because it is so low effort and the reward is so high for her. So due to the WIFEY era being unwatchable, her views did decrease quite a bit during this time period, and they honestly haven't recovered. With her views dropping, so did her revenue. She claimed in 2019 that her mukbang videos, which are again like 10-minute videos about really nothing, they were netting her about $10,000 a month. And she also lived in Kentucky, which is a state with a lower cost of living. knowing what I do about YouTube, I absolutely do think this is true. I know a lot of people question it, but I think that those months that she made more. But during that period, she was the sole income for her and Becky. And she also gave a lot of money to her ex Destiny and Destiny's new girlfriend at the time, or her ex now. And many people do describe Amberlynn, like people that know her in real life, as generous with money. But other people say, while she is generous with money, she holds it over people's heads. So she did have two people to take care of during this time that she was making all that money. But when WIFEY moved in, because she quickly moved in, as I said, she moves quick. She moved from another state to live with Amber. They were splitting everything 50-50. And it seemed as though WIFEY did have a good job. Again, we never found out really anything about WIFEY, not even what she looked like or her name. So we definitely didn't know her job. But you know, she seemed to do pretty well. Just prior to the WIFEY era, during the Beck era, Amber did reconnect with her mom. And as I mentioned, Amber did spend a lot of time in foster care growing up. There were a lot of stories about that she's spoken about. There's a creator I mentioned at the very beginning of the video called Septa7, and she has actually just done a series about Amberlynn's childhood and her teen years and stuff. So I've linked those down below if you want to know more about that, because I'm not really going to go into that. But Amber had a lot of issues with foster families that she was put with, so much so that she was eventually put in a group home. And she's also spoken about stealing money from foster families and skipping school so much that she was expelled, and a host of other issues. Amber and her mum reconnected after her mum got clean, and from everything that's been shown to the viewers, it does seem like her mum has turned her life around. Just put a pin in the reconnection with the mother for a few minutes while we tidy up the WIFEY era, and then we'll come back to that. So after about 2 years of dating, last summer 2023, Amber and WIFEY broke up. A few days after their breakup in July, Amber posted a video where she and WIFEY spoke. It was audio only, and it seemed as though Amber was trying to convince her audience that the breakup was mutual between the two of them. But most viewers believe the breakup was initiated by WIFEY. The audience also found it strange that Amber was posting this video and trying to use it as content, given that the audience didn't know WIFEY at all. They had no relation to her. And as I said before, they didn't even know her name. They'd never even seen her. So it was bizarre to then enter her into the Amberverse with a breakup video. Of course, breakups are always difficult for everyone, but Amber made her content and honestly her life nothing but the breakup for months. I think one thing about Amber that can be shown through all of this is that, and this is going to sound mean, but and I really don't mean it to sound mean, but it's kind of just a statement of fact. And that is that Amberlynn doesn't really have anything going on in her life. She doesn't have like really any friendships. I know she does have like one friend now, but they had like some toxic falling out, and then the friend was making videos exposing her, and she doesn't have like a group of friends or people that are constantly in her life. She doesn't work, she doesn't have hobbies, she doesn't travel, she doesn't have a relationship with her audience even. She doesn't care about her channel. And as I said, she literally is just splicing clips together on her iPhone that takes minutes. So she's not editing, she's not working on stuff, she's not making thumbnails, writing titles, writing videos. The most straightforward tasks in the world, like clip together some clips, and then I feel like I'm being about her clipping together. And so with all of that being said, it means Amber has nothing but time. She also has an erratic sleep schedule, so she sleeps in a lot, and a lot of the day is just focused around what she's going to eat. And honestly, it seems as though a lot of her time is taken up by posting these TikToks. Like there's some lip syncing ones, and there's also these ones where she will basically show herself trying to make herself like look really bad, and like she'll mess up her hair and like scrunch up her neck and stuff. And then it'll be like the camera flips and she's done her makeup, you know, when people like what they see in the viewfinder of the camera. If you wanted to torture me, it would be make one of those videos. Like, I am so insecure. I'd never make one of those videos in my life. Again, I'm not trying to be mean, but I think just all of this, it means she has all of the time in the world to just go and focus on two things. One is her partner or whomever she might be speaking to at that time. And the other is what people are saying about her on the internet. From the very, very beginning of her channel, when she had maybe one person criticizing her, she obsessed over it. And even today, she watches reaction channels. She'll post videos about reaction channels. She'll post videos watching reaction channels. She watches compilation channels. She watches her ex's videos. She reads the Reddit. She's even used friends' fake Facebook profiles so she can infiltrate the Facebook groups about her. And then she spent hours and hours defending herself against viewers, pretending to be obviously one of these catfish accounts. So when she goes through things like a breakup, she wallows in it, and her content was nothing but crying videos and telling everyone how devastated she was. And yes, other people, everybody is upset by a breakup, well, most of the time. And maybe they have a few days of bed rotting or crying and being miserable, but that's just how you feel after a breakup. But the thing is, most people, no matter how they feel, have to pick themselves up after a few days, go to work, see their friends, do errands, get on with their life. You aren't over it, but you have to live with it. And so with Amber, she will have these periods where it's the worst thing in the world. She's wallowing in the breakup. And then it's like a switch goes off and she has found her next relationship. And as I've mentioned with all of the relationships, the time period, I mean, sometimes there is no time period between them, but they are days, weeks, and then she's on to the next. She said she was going to stay single for a while. Well, she said that about after her relationship with Beck, and then she said it after WIFEY too. And after her relationship with WIFEY, she decided she was going to move from Kentucky to Oklahoma to be closer to her mom. WIFEY agreed to drive her from Kentucky to Oklahoma. And the WIFEY era, which, as I said, many regard as the worst era, was swiftly over. So now we're going to move into the current era, the alarming era. And there has been a lot of controversy about Amber's newest partner, and also the partner that was briefly between WIFEY and our current partner. So we're going to move into the Valentine Tommy era now, also the present era. As I said, this era has been a strange one, and it has recently taken a worrying turn. We're going to go over the current era, and then we're going to discuss the weight loss, and also, as I mentioned, why I do believe Amberlynn is an inspirational creator. Hold your comments. I know you're mad. So Amberlynn moves to Oklahoma, where her mom and grandmother live. And this all happened around this time last year, like exactly this time last year, actually, as I'm filming this, October 2023. Amber says she's single and will remain so for a while, but spoiler alert, she did not remain single for long at all, and was pretty much immediately talking to multiple women, even multiple married women. Just to set the scene at this stage, Amber was again back over 500 pounds after she'd lost a little bit of weight when she was going through cancer. She still was doing mukbangs. She still was going through all of these weight loss cycles. She tried to go through another weight loss surgeon. She did an outpatient clinic. She tried Ozempic again. More calorie counting, OMAD, Jenny Craig's attempts, none of which lasted more than a few days. In September 2023, before Amberlynn even left Kentucky, she began speaking to a new woman who, for right now, we'll call Valentine, as that is how the audience knew her until very recently, and how Amber referred to her. So Amber and Valentine had been speaking since September 2023, before Amber even left Kentucky. They started dating in February 2024, but Amber didn't reveal this until April 2024. Her viewers knew her as Valentine because Amber told us that she began officially dating Valentine on Valentine's Day. The whole lead up to their relationship starting, and still to this very day, they have never met. Her audience really didn't know much about Valentine at all. She would put a few little comments in here and there. Mainly the details that the audience got was that she would just show the gifts that Valentine sent her and then talk about things that she had sent Valentine. By June, many viewers were suspicious that Amber and Valentine had broken up, and then on June 26th, Amber posted a video saying that in fact was true. Amber elaborated a little bit more about the relationship when they started speaking and things like that, how Valentine was more into her than she was into Valentine, how they video called every day, but Amber described Valentine as doing awful things to her, that she'd hurt her, lied to her, and how they were supposed to move in together on August 1st before they broke up. A lot of viewers did question whether Valentine was real. As I've said throughout the video, it is hard to tell a lot of the time what is true and what is not. And because she has lied so much before over the past decade, a lot of people just question everything. Keep all of that about Valentine in the front of your mind because we need to take a tiny little sidetrack for 1 second. So on July 8th of this year, just a few months ago, Amber announces that she has a new girlfriend and describes this relationship from the beginning and still is doing so as a soft, gentle love that she needs. In her announcement video about the relationship, she highlights how timelines aren't important, and in less than 2 weeks, she and the new girlfriend will be meeting because, again, timelines don't exist. This is a soft, gentle love that she has craved, and there are no red flags. This is what she tells the viewers. Now, one thing, again, to highlight is that Amber's audience, the girls, they are investigators. Kiwi Farms also follows the Girlverse, and they will find everything out. There is no hiding anything from this audience. The girls, they should all work for the FBI because they could find anything about anyone, I swear. So on July 21st, when Amber talks about her new girlfriend and the girlfriend comes to Oklahoma, she reveals that the girlfriend's name is Emily, but the girlfriend does go by multiple names for some reason. Amber refers to her as Tommy, so that's how I'll refer to her in the rest of the video. And it seems as though before her relationship with Amberlynn, she also went by Willow, so those are the 3 names, but I will refer to her as Tommy. Amber features Tommy in her videos, and so the girls start investigating Tommy, and pretty much immediately, I believe it was Kiwi Farms that first found out that not only was Tommy posting feeder content on feeder websites with her previous partner, but also her previous partner had passed away at the end of May, just very recently, due to obesity-related issues, as she was over 1,000 pounds. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video very briefly. I will also add here that, as most people know, I'm always continuing my research as I'm making these videos. And it's why sometimes I'm sure I'll have one in this video where I'll have like an editing clip where I come in and like clarify something or add something. And so I normally film the video, the first half, the second half, so that I can continue just fact checking myself and double checking my research and sources. And as anyone who watches the channel knows, I always provide all of the sources with links, all the videos, articles, everything. So those are always in the pinned comment in the description box. They're the Google link. And so between me making, because I do the first half of the video, work on it, do the second half, and then the last thing I do, like the day I upload, is I do the intro. Well, I write it way before that, but just so that I can see the whole video as well. But the thing that I was saying in the beginning about Tommy's partner, where I was saying, oh, she wasn't a public figure, I did actually find out that she kind of was, well, she was public about the feeder content stuff. I watched a video by a creator called Lauren Burkhart, and she spoke about Tommy's previous partner and showed still images of her going on like a lot of talk shows, talking about her weight and feeding, which makes sense because it seems as though Tommy seeks out and was seeking out very large women who have some sort of social media following, hence Amberlynn. And there also was, between her previous partner and Amberlynn, there was another content creator in the same sort of niche called Spanx Beluga, and she said that Tommy was reaching out to her. As I was saying at the beginning, the timeline of the previous partner passing was May, and then Amber and her start talking in the end of June, July, and then this Spanx Beluga was in between. When the viewers found out about this, there was a lot of discussion online, all the reaction channels, obviously. And so this led Amber to make a video because she claimed in this video, due to all of the talking and backlash, that she and Tommy had broken up because Tommy was upset by all of this, which I don't think really anybody believed. Amber told her audience that Tommy wasn't a feeder, which we'll get into that in a second. And she also told the audience she'd never felt so loved as she did in this 2-week-old relationship. She really, really, really went after the audience and was really just saying how awful they were, when it seemed as though, again, like there's always those people that really despise her, but it does seem with this, like a lot of people were generally concerned about her, and she just was adamant that everyone was being awful to her because she had never felt so loved as she did in this relationship of 2 weeks. But she said they broke up, no one believed it, and then she kind of didn't say anything for a while and didn't post for a bit. If you remember the content creator that I mentioned who makes the deep dive videos on Amber, Mr. Snowflake, he posted a video after this where he put out the theory that Tommy and Valentine may be the same person, and he did have some evidence for this. This did turn out to not be true, but this annoyed Amber a lot, and because she really hadn't broken up with Tommy, she wanted to get a lot of the heat off Tommy because people started questioning it about this video, and then the timeline with the ex was even worse. So Amber then decided to make a video and reveal who Valentine was, and it was a woman named Erica, and she also mentioned that Erica had a wife. As I said, Amber's viewers will find anyone. I swear if you just gave them the initial E, they would have found her. So very quickly, people found not only Erica, but her wife, Brittany, and they also found that Erica and her wife were active people in Amber's community and had been so for many years. I believe the channel Salty Crab was the first one to put this information out. So Erica and her wife then reached out to several reaction channels when they realized people knew who they were. And it actually later came out that Erica's wife had months prior reached out to the reaction channel Zachary Michael to try and give dirt on Amberlynn. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of information here because it's hard to know what the truth is with all of this because, as we know, Amber has a history of lying, and then with a lot of the stuff that came out from Erica and Brittany, it didn't make any sense, convoluted. A lot of it did seem like lies and contradictory. And there is videos linked below from Mr. Snowflake and some other creators who lay this out like really well. There's a video from Megan Ann as well where she's gone over this. But very quickly to summarize, basically Amber was reached out to by Erica when she posted one of these TikTok thirst trap things. And she had put that she was really into masculine women. So Erica and her wife decided that Erica should message her. And initially, they were doing it as like a joke. But over time, Erica was sucked into the relationship with Amber. And Erica says she was manipulated by Amber. They used to talk on FaceTime for hours and hours every day. Amber asked Erica for screenshots of her inbox. Erica originally told Amber that she was only married for financial reasons, although Amber did find out they were really married. And when she did, she told Erica that she needed to tell her every time she kissed or slept with her wife. Amber also had Erica add her to this app called Life 360, which is basically a tracking app. So Amber could see everywhere Erica was going and how long she was there for. Erica and her wife, as I said, went on the reaction channels and it was super, super messy. A lot of people started questioning them and bringing up things that weren't making sense that they were saying. So they pretty much about a month ago disappeared and have been quiet ever since. While the situation with Erica did divert a tiny bit of attention away from Tommy, viewers quickly focused right back on Tommy after everything with Erica and her wife died down. Amber and Tommy are of course still dating, and in August, Amber told her audience that Tommy was only on feeder websites so she and her previous partner could get extra money so they could see each other more often because they were also long distance. Viewers obviously did not believe this at all, and then at the end of September, just last week, Mr. Snowflake released a video that showed many, many comments from both Tommy and her previous partner stating over and over again that they did this feeder content because that was a real part of their relationship that they loved, they enjoyed, and they were not doing it for money. They never had accepted money. They never would accept money because if they did accept money, Tommy's partner would lose her benefits and her health insurance that the government gave her. I'm assuming it was like Medicaid or maybe Medicaid and Medicare. And she was getting cash benefits as well. So Amber and Tommy have been dating since July. In the very end of July and August, Tommy came to Oklahoma to visit Amber. And then Tommy came again in early September. And then just right now, the last week in September, and it's still going on, Amber then went to Wisconsin to visit Tommy. And this, right when she was going to Wisconsin, was when Mr. Snowflake released his videos. In order to go to Wisconsin, Amber had her mom rent a car and drive not only her 19 hours to Wisconsin, but also Amber took her senior dog and her 2 senior cats. And again, this took 19 hours, and then they're getting to an unfamiliar environment. Tommy, I believe, also has pets. So Amber is currently there still. That is where we are today. She and Tommy are in Wisconsin. A lot of people thought maybe she was moving in because not only did she bring all of her pets, but she brought a lot of stuff. But it doesn't seem like she is moving. It would be strange because she left a lot of stuff in Oklahoma too, but I'm sure it will not be too long until Amber and Tommy move in together, because as we've learned through this video, she moves quick. And I mean quick even for a lesbian. In regards to her weight, Amber was taking Ozempic when she was with Erica, but since being with Tommy, she stopped. And she has been in Wisconsin. And since she's been in Wisconsin with Tommy, her videos have shown nothing really but them going out and eating and drinking. As I said, I think a lot of people are concerned about Amber, even the people who are completely frustrated by her, even the people who don't like her that much because of how she treats her pets, her partners, people in general, because of her lies, manipulation, and all around poor behavior. Those people still are concerned about her being with someone who, at best, will not encourage her to save her life, and at worst, someone who will actively encourage her to gain weight. So given everything that I've spoken about in this video, why do I call Amberlynn Reid one of the most inspirational creators on YouTube? Well, as I mentioned in the beginning when breaking down the different types of viewers on Amberlynn's channel, you have the category of viewers who either actively were looking for weight loss YouTubers and found Amber, or stumbled upon her and did want to lose weight and improve their lives and their health, but they just really hadn't given it too much thought yet, or they just hadn't made the leap to start that weight loss journey. These are the people that Amber has inspired, be it unintentionally. And that's why we're briefly going to discuss in this final section why Amberlynn, despite everything I've said in this video, is still unintentionally an inspirational YouTuber. As I'm sure you've put together by now, Amberlynn Reid is inspiring to viewers because they don't want to be anything like her. Many people found Amber either when they were starting or in the middle of their weight loss journey, or were just unhappy and unhealthy due to their weight, and they saw in Amber not only what they could become if they didn't get serious and do the hard work to improve their health, but many viewers also saw the excuses they'd been making and all the messing around they'd been doing. I think seeing Amberlynn twist, lie, and manipulate every single thing that happens to her to try and paint herself as someone who is always right and just always a victim of circumstance has scared others straight because they never want to become someone who has wasted their life. As I said, I've watched Amberlynn for the past 7 or 8 years and started at the tail end of the Destiny era, and finding Amber snapped me back into reality. And it's in such a funny way that I actually found her because someone recommended her on Reddit of all places. It wasn't even her Reddit. It was this 90-day fiance Reddit, and this person said, oh, this will fill the train wreck hole. It was just a random commenter. This was back in, I think, season 2, and I don't really even watch reality TV, but I wasn't in a great place, and that is why when I saw Amber making all these excuses and wasting her life really did snap me back into reality. And without that sharp snap back into reality, I wouldn't have lost weight. And without losing it, I never would have had the confidence to start YouTube. I'm pretty confident without that comment, I wouldn't be sitting here making this video today with a life I absolutely love, and you wouldn't be watching. Maybe I would have found another motivation. And of course, there's much more to that story because we're not here to talk about me. There's a lot of work and effort, but oh my God, has it absolutely been worth it? And there's so many other things that I love about my life. And really, I don't think any of it would have happened without losing weight. I swear, if I can do it, anyone can. As I said before, I'm not some unique, special person. I'm just like everyone else. And if you want to lose weight, you absolutely can. But I'm not going to sit here and preach and act like some expert. All I have really come to the conclusion on is you have to want to lose weight. And I think that is the biggest factor stopping Amber. You have to want to lose weight. You have to want to better your life, your health, everything. When I say that, I'm not talking about people who need to or want to lose 10 pounds. Amberlynn is not only in pain every day, but every part of her life is affected by her weight. I think she only wants to lose weight if it means magic or a wish from a genie makes it happen. She doesn't want to expend any effort. Look at everything we've talked about in this video. She's created this life where she doesn't have to do anything. If it wasn't horrifying, honestly, it would be kind of impressive. As I've mentioned 127 times, she doesn't really do work. Her pay per hour must be absolutely insane because of how much she earns in comparison to time spent. But put a pin in that thought for just 1 second. I promise we're almost done. She doesn't have really any relationships outside of whomever she's dating at that time. She doesn't have friendships. Yes, occasional ones pop up here and there. So she doesn't expend any effort maintaining these relationships and social interactions. She gets her social interaction from her viewers, and we've already discussed how she doesn't give anything to them. Even the Am babies, go to her comments, you'll never see responses or hearts or anything. The only time she ever speaks is when she's telling someone, actually, no, they're wrong, she's right. She doesn't drive, she doesn't do errands. There's probably a few little bare minimal things she does, but everything from delivery apps to the girlfriend at the moment doing errands, she doesn't have to expend energy for anything. She has no desire to lose weight because she doesn't want to do anything. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, her life is consumed by whomever she's dating and what people are saying about her on the internet. If she only cared about her pets, friendships, or videos and work as much as she cares about those two things, because I think she actually likes the way her life is set up in this life of convenience. I think a lot of people's frustration with Amber, outside of her refusal to put in a sliver of effort to save her own life, is the fact that she's not only wasting her life, but wasting the resources and privileges she has that other people would kill for. People in her audience are out there working 2 jobs and crazy hours and getting a fraction of what she does by splicing together clips for a few minutes a week. She earns a lot of money, and not only could that get pretty much any weight loss program in the world, weight loss surgery, Ozempic, anything. She can even afford to go to therapy every single week, multiple times a week, if she wanted to, and work on not only her issues with food, but her mental health and just her general well-being. I think anybody can benefit from therapy. She has all the time in the world to do her job, take a class, get a hobby, do anything. She's probably one of the most time-rich people on earth, and yet she wastes it arguing with reaction channels and watching and reading what strangers are saying about her. She tells herself and her audience she's an empath when it's clear she isn't, and she is actually an incredibly self-centered person. Maybe there's some people who think this is harsh, but I just really get frustrated, especially with things like the animals, some of the way she's treated other people, and I honestly could talk about this stuff all day. I find it fascinating how strong her ego must be to still see herself as a victim and in the right when there are literally hundreds of thousands, most likely millions, telling you you're in the wrong. As I mentioned, yes, in her audience, there are some people who hate her and go too far and get too wrapped up and get too involved. But that's every community on the internet, especially when you post content. Dealing with this to some degree is just what the job is, but most people watching are everyday people, And you can especially see that with some of the channels who very occasionally talk about her, like maybe once or twice a year. I always look at people like Cinnamon Toast Ken's wife. I don't know her at all. I don't even know what she looks like, because when she comes on, she only ever is filmed from like the neck down, but she just seems like a very normal woman, and she gives really reasonable takes. She's done a video on Ken's channel where it's a kind of a shorter version of this, where she just explains what Girl World is. And she's someone, I think she's around the same age as me and Amber, and she's followed all of this for a long time. Someone like that, again, I don't know her, but she just doesn't seem like someone who's going to go on the internet and just have this hate for someone purely because they're overweight, especially because there's so many people in Amber's community, even people with a lot of criticism towards her, are overweight themselves. And I know there's like internal fat phobia and all of that. And believe me, oh my God, do I think that people who are overweight get treated totally different in society, because when I was very, very heavy, I was treated like I was invisible. I've actually waited to the day I am uploading this, October 7th. Well, I hope you see this on October 7th anyway, because I wanted to go through the video again and have all of my thoughts collated to conclude it. But when I started the video, I did think about possibly doing an ending that would say something like, if I could offer Amber any advice and give 5-6 great bullet points of what I think great first steps are. But if you've made it to the end of this video, especially if you're in Girl World, the Amberverse, Hater Nation, you know that there is no helping Amber, because Amber refuses to help herself. She will twist anything anyone says, and there is no telling her anything, because she's always right and she knows absolutely everything. There is nothing I can say, or anyone, that hasn't been said a million times already in the Amberverse and to Amber. After all my years in Girl World, I know the best thing to do is to make my little video, say nothing to Amber, and enjoy the show. Apparently my brain fell out when I was filming that because I forgot to conclude the video. So if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave MVP in the comments so I can thank you for watching the whole thing. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, but absolutely no pressure. My Patreon, social media, and Miss G's social media is all linked along with the sources in the pinned comment and the description box. If you haven't checked out a lot of my back catalog, consider that if you like the video. And I'll be back in 2 weeks, hopefully, with another video. Now we're on a little schedule. So thank you so much again. And as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.